Rivers State has been embroiled in a political crisis since 2023, primarily due to the face-off between former Governor Nyesom Wike, now Minister of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT), and current Governor Siminalayi Fubara, following the recent Supreme Court judgment regarding Rivers allocations and 27 pro-Wike lawmakers. There has been a whirlwind of activities since the Apex Court verdict. The House of Assembly has issued an ultimatum to the Governor Siminalayi Fubara, summoned the Rivers Electoral Commission chairman, and a few other controversies in between. And prominent among them is turning down the governor's invitation. Is Rivers State on the path of no return, or is there still a solution in sight? This is the Eastern Eye. I'm Alex Obodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, here on Afia TV, a program that X-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is Barrister Pascal Nwachukwu. He is an international law expert and also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you, Alex Obodo. It's a pleasure having you.
Okay, so typically, the Rivers political some people are already calling it a soap opera. Some people are calling it, you don't know what happens tomorrow. You don't know what the courts will decide. But from what is unveiling there, and with the moves the House of Assembly are already making, do you think there could be a constitutional remedy anymore, or have we gone past that stage?
Well, as it stands, we are not, Rivers State, in my own perception, has not gone into anarchy. Yes, the rule of law is still prevailing because the pronouncement of the apex courts of this country, this land, Nigeria, has made pronouncement on the crisis looming in that place. And it's a political crisis. Amidst political crisis, you see multifarious interests. At that stage, the issue of patriotism is brought to a very serious quagmire. What makes a person a patriot is having the interests of the citizenry and the public, and getting himself strict to sensu, join with the rule of law. That makes you a nationalist. That makes you a patriotic. I can't say I wake up, I want to protect my selfish greed or interest as against that of the citizens and the state. So I think what is going on in Rivers State, this is not the first time it has happened like that. And the court's judgments came up and address it. I know that Supreme Court judgment is clear. They have placed some duties on Fubara. They should go back to the drawing board. And if you look at him, you see he's amenable to peace. And there's a book we read, one of the literature, She Stood to Conquer. And naturally, you know, human beings. Shakespeare, in one of the essays in Julius Caesar, is very clear. He says, lowliness is young, ambitious ladder, which he climbs on a ladder and spits on the ladder that saw him through. Well, to my mind, as a legal analyst, the lawmakers were voted to protect the interests of the constituencies that are represented in the House of Assembly. They climbed the ladder, and now they don't want to look at the feelings of those who gave them their franchise, the 27 lawmakers that defected. I think they should have a rethink. This is a clarion call. The lawmakers involved should have a rethink. so that they will not erode the expectations of the people that voted him in and democracy. Yes. So, to my mind, what is playing out is also being fueled by judicial pronouncements. And I look at what is playing out in the judicial parlance as regards Rivers State as a judicial somersault. Yes. A situation like I reiterated on 29th October 2023, something played out at the House of Assembly that led to some mayhem, and the place, the lawmakers' complex, as I learned, was burnt down to some extent. And the next day, I think on 30th, there was an attempt to impeach Governor Fubara. So I think this has lasted till today. But my own, as a citizen of this country, is that judiciary should look at the interests of the citizens and not to look at the interests of some passive political warlords. I have to be fair to both parties, because when legal issue crops up, what cures is the statutory provision, the law of the land, the constitution of the land. The constitution is supreme, just like the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. Cases in Supreme Court, like this one, is unappealable. But it is my prayer that Supreme Court should wake up to overrule themselves in certain areas. Now, before now, a scenario like this played out. That was when our present President, Commander-in-Chief of Staff, the person of Bola Tinubu, was in Lagos. Yes. The federal revenue allocation were stopped. But if you juxtapose what happened then and now, you see there are two different scenarios and two cases. What played out at that time was there was a creation of some local governments that didn't follow the due process of law. So I think the governor looked at it, and then the way it is, the president looked at it, and court slammed that federal revenue. But in this case, I think it's uncalled for. Okay, why I told you that it's a judicial somersault, I know that the apex court, they can reverse the decisions of the Court of Appeal or any other lower court. But a situation that rises up, that the same Supreme Court gave decision last year when the AG Federation and the AG states had a legal quagmire. And Supreme Court said, look, I give ultimatum to all the state governors, go and conduct local government election. We don't want to be running caretaker committees. Some states are involved. And I feel in a considered way, so that the federal allocation of the river state will not be slashed or could be cut into the web. I think the governor went ahead to conduct election. And naturally, before election is conducted, the INEC is supposed to display voters' register within 90 days. Now, what played out there was that the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, Justice Lifu, he gave a judgment asking the CBN to stop federal allocation for the river state. And upon that, he ordered INEC not to release voters' register, which is a sine qua non, as provided by the Electoral Act of 2022, as amended. So the question now, who is to blame? It's just, yes.
So the blame game that you've talked about, okay, let's dig into that. Who is to blame?
Well, I know it's a derogation. Once a condition precedent is not met, any other thing done is inconsistent and null and void to such extent. But a situation, a court made a pronouncement, and another court came. I'm not in the mind of the panel. A panel was set, judicial panel, Court of Appeal. We are set. They came and then visited the whole issue and overruled the decision of the Federal High Court that sat in Abuja. I think that was that they had told the governor to go ahead. He conducted the election, but it's an issue. Once that statutory provision of the Electoral Act is not complied with, it's an issue. You see how I told you it's a judicial somersault.
So, but typically what has happened now, you've made the point that the Supreme Court's judgment is unappealable.
Yes.
So the only thing the government and people of Rivers State can do is to go and pray to God, isn't it?
Yes, they pray to God and look for a war of peace.
But is Rivers State in a state of war?
Definitely, for now. Well, before you talk about war, it may get some progressions.
Yes.
Yeah, from impunity, you get to civil disturbance, and then it goes up. Crisis has not, anarchy has not come, but it is progressing gradually. And if not nipped at the bud, it could lead to breakdown of land order in Rivers State.
But do you think right now that it is within the powers of Siminala Ifubara, the governor of Rivers State, to bring peace to the table? Or do you think it has gone beyond that?
Well, the Supreme Court has drawn a landmark. Each segment of the Supreme Court judgment ought to be followed strict to sensu. And I still reiterate that the lawmakers should look at ensuring peace. I think I am not an advocate for anybody, but on a general balance, the letter signed by the Secretary to the government of Rivers State brought 3 issues. Number 1, how to get a befitting place for the sitting of the lawmakers. And equally, they have to pay them their outstanding allowances and other remuneration that were denied them. And then way forward. So in that scenario, I think the governor has started the move. But I wouldn't know. You know, once you are there, you may be thinking of how to do any other thing. And that's part of politics. Yes. All
right. So in the Rivers crisis, some people are still talking. Some of the chieftains of the APC, like Emma Okocha, they're telling the governor to resign or be impeached. So on what basis should anyone in Rivers be asking Governor Siminala Ifubara to resign?
Well, that's everybody is entitled to his personal opinion. Opinions are persuasive and are not binding on anybody. What is binding on anybody is a statutory provision, the law and the Constitution. Law guiding the scenario at any point in time. I am entitled to my own opinion. Likewise any other person. But whatever we are saying now is that the judgment of that court, the both parties should make sure while implementing it, rule of law must be observed. Anarchy is not a substitute for peace.
Yeah, you know, you just referenced that the Secretary to the government of Rivers State wrote on behalf of the governor to the pro-Wike lawmakers then they have responded, and the Martin Amewule-led River State House of Assembly on Sunday asked Governor Siminalayi Fubara to channel his invitation to the members properly and not through social media. The reaction followed the invitation to the Assembly to a meeting with the governor on Monday. Of course, the letter was written through the Secretary to the government, Dr. Tammy Danogogo, said that the meeting was supposed to be held at 10 today, 10 a.m. Expected to address key issues, including the things you've cited, yes. Meeting space, payment of outstanding allowances, and presentation of the 2025 budget. Now, which brings us to the issue of the budget. And the 27 lawmakers of the Rivers House of Assembly, loyal to former Governor Nyesom Wike, rejected the invitation except their condition is met by the governor. So let's look at the issue of representing the budget.
Yes, before I talk about representing the budget, there's an issue you raise that the Amefule or whatever is saying that the governor should write letter to each member of the house.
No, he said he should write to them properly.
Properly, and address to each member of the house.
And not through social media.
Yes. But I think that scenario will only play out if they have commenced impeachment proceedings. When impeachment proceedings commence.
But I mean, typically, if there wasn't any crisis, would there be any need for the governor to write members of the House of Assembly personally, constituency by constituency? When you address it to the Speaker, yes, on behalf of the House, that should solve it.
It solves. This is a seamless write-up. Yes. So, but that way they are going, that one is a situation that comes up if impeachment is commenced due to gross misconduct, which must be put in writing as a petition against the governor or the deputy governor, as the case may be. And once it's done, and they served on the speaker, within 7 days, he will also make a copy available and serve on the governor. And if the governor sees it, governor will prepare his representation or reaction and serve each member of the House of Assembly. So this is where that scenario plays out. They are not yet there. Yes.
So, but do you think Siminalayi Fubara will present the budget again?
Well, I am not him. Because once the Supreme Court has ruled that, look,
you should present it again.
You should present the budget. It's for the good interest of...
And what if he presents it and they refuse to pass it?
Well...
Which is a very likely scenario.
Well, if they refuse to pass it, that means they are calling for anarchy. Nobody has monopoly of any situation. Yes.
And of course, the executive are in charge of the money.
Good.
So they can go ahead and spend.
Good.
Whether it is passed or not.
Yes. Nobody can stop a governor of a state from disbursing the IGR gotten from the state, not from federal allocation. You can't do that. It's a derivative. So when one road closes, the other one opens. So it's like you present a budget. But when you present a budget, the budget is meant to serve for the good people of the state. It's meant to service the governance. So if you are putting it into a quagmire, it will not help. So that's why the lawmakers should sit back and think of why we are they elected. It's to uphold good governance. They are the lawmakers. They are not the executives. They are not the judiciary. So play your role. The other segment of government will play their role. The government will be moving. At the federal level, the organogram is there. So whatever be the case, we are still telling the lawmakers there should not be an outlaw. That's why we preach ADR, alternative dispute resolution, when the need arises. You can use it. But a situation, the Supreme Court has said, do it this way, do it this way. They must come down and follow it. Because even election or whatever, they have to follow due process. Yes.
And that's, it looks like that word or set of words, due process, is given different interpretations in Nigeria. So let me take you back. And one of the issues raised in the letter from the Rivers State government to the lawmakers will be the venue for their sittings. So by law, where are they supposed to sit if the assembly is not in a shape that they can sit there?
Well, it's just like court. Court can sit anywhere, provided the judge and the registrar, all of them.
But the court cannot sit in government house.
No. I said
yeah,
when there is challenge.
Yes.
If a courtroom is bad, in a bad shape, the court itself is the judge and his staff. They can decide to have another apartment. That's court. Sometimes when the need arises, mobile court, they go to the federal highway and sit to check traffic offenders and what. So what we are saying now, we are not talking about, if you begin to talk about building, you'll be missing it. But once the governor and the lawmakers said, this building, we can be here, while the other one is put in shape, fine. What is very, very important is that, can we agree to congregate? Yes, that's my thinking.
Okay, so, following that Supreme Court decision affirming the legitimacy, the lawmakers in their first sitting urged Governor Siminala Efubara to present the 2025 budget. They also demanded that he submit nominees for commissioner and other appointments, insisting that those currently serving in the cabinet lacked legal backing. Additionally, they summoned the chairman and commissioners of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission to appear before them today. However, their requests were ignored, as Commissioner for Information Joseph Johnson stated that the government was awaiting the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment before taking action, but they have now gotten the certified true copy.
Yes.
So where does this leave everyone?
Well, when a judgment is given, there is need for you to get the whole proceedings and read strict to sensu the entire judgment. Because if you don't understand the judgment, it might be difficult to enforce it. Yes. If you extract a judgment, there are pronouncements. There are statements we call statements or obiter statements. But the instruction, the real judgment must be found. The judgment has said the 27 lawmakers should be recalled and declare them legitimate lawmakers. The issue now is that unless they are going on retrospective, it will still have effect. So I don't think having a pound of flesh will solve the problem of Rivers State. They are being troubled by ego. So, like in some cases, the High Court, Federal High Court, they can interpret the judgment of Supreme Court and they don't have to add. Yes. When the situation arises on Ipman judgment given by Federal Capital Territory, Federal High Court, the Cross River, Federal High Court still in Cross River, interpreted it. And they equally interpreted the judgment in Court of Appeal. And it helps in enforcing the judgment. So I better recommend that they should study the judgment very well and see the workability. Otherwise, they cannot pick and choose which you want to obey.
All right, we'll take a break at this point. When we return, we'll find out whether alternative dispute resolution can solve the problem in Rivers State. Stay with us. We'll be right back on the Eastern Eye.
What is the state of the continent of Africa? How shall we interact with the rest of the world? Are we going to relate with the world in terms of donations or in terms of trade? Africa must define what she wants politically. Africa must define herself culturally. Africa must define herself spiritually, because Africa has no choice but to move forward, and forward she will move.
You're welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. My name is Alex Obodo. My guest is still here, Pascal Mwachukwu, who's a legal practitioner. And let's talk about whether the solution to what's happening in Rivers State is clearly away from legal. Because a lot of people are already suggesting that maybe the elders of Rivers should come together at this point and resolve this problem before it gets to the point of no return. Do you think that there is a fighting chance for the elders of Rivers State to intervene and rightly and in a way that the Rivers State government and the people will benefit? Because at the end of the day, everyone that is on the other side of this, they're all Rivers people.
Yes, my brother. It's very clear that you can't watch a situation deteriorate. Now, like I reiterated earlier, it is issue of ego between the two parties. And if one doesn't look at the interests of the society, interests of the government, interests of the state, and interests of children and youths, you know what will be playing out is selfish interests. Yes, at any stage, ADR can solve a protracted issue. Because we have seen now that there are 2 pointers. Party A and Party B, pro-Wike and Fubra. Yes, I think the elders can step in. They can step in. A situation that you'll be watching, some people are threatening, some miscreants are threatening, and some ethnic group, young boys, Ijaw boys, and all of them. Look at, like I told you, these lawmakers, they are from Rivers State, but they are from various ethnic extraction. So, Fubra is from a community. The 24/7 lawmakers are from a community. So, you see a situation, everybody would like to protect his own. And when there's clash in interests, what the litmus test is acid test of peace coming together. When I did chemistry in secondary school, we carry out volumetric analysis. if you are doing volumetric analysis, you do what we call titration. You have the burette, you have the conical flask, you have the litmus paper. Now, you will be mixing the base and acid. We don't normally use concentrated acid. We use a diluted acid so that if you are pipetting, some may enter your this. So, when you be doing that titration, what will show you that you have got to the end point? Because when you bring the litmus paper and drop into the solution in the conical flask, once it turns blue, you check your burette reading by calculating the quantum of base you have put and the acid. You divide by 2, you get your titration point. So what Rivers State need to do is to apply that scientific scenario. Let them have a litmus test. Yes. Once this person comes, leaders of thought comes, say, come, let us come together. And that's what the scripture says. Come, let us reason together. No matter how your sin is or whatever, whether it's scarlet, as blue, or whatever, as crimson, he will make it white. So the politics of this nation and what is happening in Rivers State should call for caution. It will call for caution so that our democracy will not be polluted, further polluted and relegated. So my take is that Rivers State has been blessed. But let the leaders of thought come, both Fubara and the 24 lawmakers. They should sheathe their sword and look at why am I in government is to provide governance to the people. And security, where there is no security of life and property, there's no governance, it's anarchy.
So typically, if the House, the way they've been threatening, if they impeach Governor Similar Fubara, this is just an instance. Maybe they can't. But if they decide to, what will be the end point? What would it benefit them really?
Well, if you look at those provisions in Section 168 of the Constitution, you read them down. They are provisos. You must follow them strictly sensu. You don't jump anyone. So the variables must be there. And also, you must fathom what constitutes gross misconduct. How did gross misconduct come? Is it perceived, induced, or an outright gross misconduct, which is impunity? So when you look at what impunity is, it's just when you do something, there's no accountability. You don't want to think about accountability. Any action you are taking in your heart, in your actions, as somebody in government or a private sector, anywhere, that you don't have room for accountability. Don't think about accountability. Somebody will ask me, why did I do this? Is outright impunity. And that is what is going on. So, once impunity is there, aggression will come in. That's what we call under the international humanitarian law, the Rome Statute, crime of aggression. So, these things will degenerate. So, but that impeachment, if they commence it, they must follow the procedures. And when you are doing it, there must be action and reaction.
That's right. And the analysis is that the Chief Judge of Rivers State will be at the center of it.
Yes.
And now his leaning will determine whether that impeachment can happen or not, isn't it?
Yes, Alex, let me tell you that when you talk of impeachment, it's easier said than done.
And that's exactly why they haven't done it. I mean, they've been claiming they are the 27 members.
Yes.
But they haven't managed to actually...
Yes, because I know they have their 1/3, That's the first step, to pass this thing. And then to third, they still have it. They have the gun, they have the powder. But the issue is that they are target. If you fire your target, there are condition precedents to get that target. Not just carrying your rifle. You aim. If you don't get the target, we call it outer. You are shooting within the outer, not inner. You can't get bull. And then you're like shooting a honey bee. They behave where they gather. If you are not ready, they will sting you. So, to my mind, it could trigger civil unrest and so many other things. The way it's going. Once more, there is need for dialogue. There is need to espouse and explore the rule of law in ideal setting so that the crisis will not degenerate.
So we've been saying elders of Rivers, elders of Rivers. Who are these elders? I mean, for Rivers, they have former governors. They have some other notable individuals that can be called upon. But why is it that their voices haven't been heard, or they haven't been heard loud enough since these issues broke out?
Well, I'm not living there. I don't know much about the whatever, but naturally, some people could be called interveners. Yes, even in open court, a situation may be going on. Somebody will appear as amicus curiae, intervener without prejudice. The court will listen. And when court listens, the next thing, the court might refer the matter to ADR courts. Like we have the multi-door courts in Enugu here. We have other mix of ADR includes arbitration, mediation, conciliation, all of them. They are under ADR, alternative dispute resolution. So whatever way, anybody could be an intervener, either some political class, from geopolitical zone, or close patriotic citizens, which are perhaps outside River State. Yes. So once they intervene, it's advisable they should listen. Interveners will come.
Is it possible that the solution to the Rivers crisis lies outside of Rivers?
Well, what of the Supreme Court decision didn't take place in Rivers State. The Supreme Court sat somewhere and visited issues. It doesn't mean whether the people that could intervene must be from Rivers State. Yes. Very, very important.
Do you see an amicable resolution to this between Wike and Fubara? Because at the end of the day, they will have to come together and agree. Someone will need to totally absorb everything, because the way it's going, someone is not backing down, but it looks like someone is willing to shift ground.
Yes. Where there are two warlords, like what is playing out in advanced countries, look at the Ukraine war, look at the Russian war, look at all this. There are interveners. So a savior could come from anywhere. So if what is going on in Rivers continue, I think any meaningful Nigerian should make a contribution towards it. And prayers, because the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord. He turneth it.
That's right.
Yes, because I still believe that God cannot fold his hand and watch selfish interests of people to prevail against the smooth security, peace of the people of God. And that's why he said, out of the peace of Jerusalem, people will have a peace. Last week or yesterday, there were some threats. We read online that the job people say, you say that those who are not rivers, they should start leaving the state. They should start leaving the state. You know, when these things are happening now, we don't want to get issue of abandoned property again. What played out between Imo State, current Imo State and Rivers. So we don't want it to play. Unity, togetherness, and one mandate will bring peace. But above all, I advise the politicians, let them think about the future of political entity and the future of the youths, future of the children. Everybody should not encourage anarchy for whatever interest. Because money, wealth, whatever you amass it, one day you will leave it. And look at the expert, the exposition from our former head of state, Babangida. He brought a lot of things out. Yes. And that is the cream. This is the expository in democracy of this country. That's People are condemning him. But it's an expository.
That's right.
To tell you what played.
Yeah. He took the courage to write the book.
Then, to put it down. And sometimes what is happening in River State, we create what we call judicial president, star decisis. Situations will come again. That's why judicial presidents are drawn. But we pray that one day the Supreme Court will look at some of these conflicting judgments and sit and revisit it. So there are judgments reached by Corium. They are advised, they know when to convene and strengthen it.
And just before we go, the local government chairman in Rivers are already affected by this, and they just took over last year. And another election will be called. Already the governor has asked the Rivers State Electoral Commission to plan another local government election. So when you look at this scenario, do you think that that election, yes, it's going to consume a great deal of resources, but will it be acceptable still this time if the circumstances that made the other one null and void in the eye of the law, if the circumstances are still there?
Well, that's another bottleneck. They must comply with the Electoral Act, display the voters' register so that condition presidents are met and everything. So this time around, it's like the Supreme Court has corrected that. But we wonder what may happen in other states where that Electoral Act will violated. So we wonder what will happen. But why Rivers' own is peculiar is that a panel set to look at Justice Alifu's decision said no, go on. Well, the funds and the logistics are still going to be borne by the River State. You see, when there is enmity, it will sap your strength, sap your health, sap your resources, and create an illusion in your life. If not by God's intervention, there may be a delineated mark you will not forget. So somebody will get up today, say, you did my father like this, you did my brother like this, and you are coming up now. You see that kind of thing. But above all, we believe River State, the way they are going, they should follow the rule of the game by going back to the drawing board. It's still the lawmakers, they should forget about they can form their 2/3, 1/3 majority to take a decision. But the question is, what will be the fallout of this ego show of strength and show of force. So
and I think we'll have to say, may peace reign in rivers.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
So I have to thank you so much.
Yes.
Barrister Pascal Nwachukwu. Barrister Pascal Nwachukwu is an international law expert and public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your perspectives on the Eastern Eye tonight.
Thank you, Alex Obodo. It's nice being with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And that's the Eastern Eye for tonight. Do join us tomorrow same time for another episode of the program. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.